Welcome back, my brothers. It is time for the UFC full card prediction, breakdown, and more for UFC Vegas 109. We're going to start at the bottom, work our way up to the main event. You know how it goes. And listen, I might even put timestamps in. So don't need to thank me just yet. We haven't already done that. So we're going to bust into it. First fight of the night. And this fight only just got added, so I'm glad that I actually waited a few days, or this wouldn't have even made it onto my full card prediction. That fight is going to be Cody Brundage taking on McConico. This is a matchup where, Cody Brundage is coming off of a victory over Julian Marquez, the Cuban Missile Crisis. And that fight was a bit of a missile crisis because it seemed like Cody Brundage might have actually been on his way to getting put out by Julian Marquez if it wasn't for that brief stoppage in the action, which allowed him to recover, and then he went on to finish Julian Marquez. Now, on the other side, we have McConico. You will only know him if you watch Sultan Rizboyev go out there and smoke this boy like a blunt. McConico does train out of the same camp as Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier. So, it's not like he doesn't have good training partners, although his level of competition that he has fought has been on the lower side. Cody Brundage, this feels like a Cody Brundage win all damn day. Cody Brundage coming in here, obviously a lot more wealth of experience, coming out of a more known UFC gym, if you will. McConico, older, it just kind of seems like he shouldn't be in a winning spot here. But I will caution people that are just jumping on Cody Brundage thinking this is free money. Cody Brundage knows how to lose a fight, and he knows how to shit the bed. And when things aren't going his way, sometimes he seems to pack it up and quit. So, if you have love for Cody Brundage, you want to throw some money on him, by all means, go ahead. As for myself here, I'm going to sit back, probably just sip on some lemonade, eat some popcorn, and just watch and enjoy this one. And as for who I would like to see win, honestly, I don't mind either way. And the official prediction for me for this fight, I'm not going to give you one. I'm going to break it down like this. Cody Brundage is an absolute wild card. He will milk a disqualification win. He will go out there and accidentally DQ himself. He'll slam Zach Reese and then go on to almost lose a fight to Julian Marquez. Cody Brundage is a no-bet zone for me in most instances, including this fight against McConico, where I wouldn't be surprised if the underdog pulled an upset. Then we have Gabriella Fernandez taking on Julia Stolyarenko. Guys, this is a matchup where I do have a side, and I'm not going to bury the lead here. Slam of the week, leg one, is going to be Gabriella Fernandez. I think she goes out here. I think she beats on Julia Stolyarenko. I wouldn't be surprised if this does go to decision, even though Gabriella Fernandez, sitting at huge plus money there for a decision, despite being such a huge favorite. But I think I do align myself with the books here, thinking that Fernandez finds a knockout. Because if you look through the record of Julia Stolyarenko, even particularly inside the UFC, when she's losing, it is often by finish, and she's been dusted up a few times, by ground and pound and by finish. She got finished up most notably by Chelsea Chandler in the first round, which is never a good look. And Julia Stolyarenko is a submission grappler, and I do use those terms rather than submission wrestler because it seems like she will sell out just to get a takedown, just to get a hold of a limb of yours and hopefully rip it off your body, preferring armbar. A most notable win coming over Molly McCann, Molly Meatball, now retired Molly Meatball. So she armbarred her. Turns out Molly not that good, so that win didn't exactly age very well. However, Gabriella Fernandez, win over Kong Wang, and also a win over Kali Judas. Both of those wins aging like fine wine. So I'm going to go here with Gabriella Fernandez. A high confidence pick from me, guys. And I do expect her to show up and show out and put a beating down on Stolyarenko. Then we have Uros, the Dr. Medic, taking on Gilbert Urbina. Uros Medic coming off of the round one knockout loss to my boy, Punahele Soriano. He was the first underdog opportunity of this year, and he went out there, passed that test in flying colors, knocked out Uros Medic in round one. People said, no way you're picking Puna Pello hands to beat Uros Medic. Well, who's laughing now, boys? And then we had Gilbert Urbina went out there and got knocked out by Charles Redke. I was all over Redke in that one, so we're happy for that. Gilbert Urbina in this matchup here, the UFC official stat here is lying to you. It has him listed at 5'9". I'll tell you right now, this man is not 5'9". If he's 5'9", I'm 5'2". So Gilbert Urbina is actually 6'3", I do believe, or 6'4". He's very large for this division. What he makes up for in size, he does seem to lack in head movement and striking defense, but that seems to be something that him and Uros Medic share in common. Uros Medic is a large favorite here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he finds a way to drop the bed here. If you're betting Uros Medic, take him inside the distance, guys. He is a finisher. All 10 of his wins are coming by way of stoppage. I don't expect that trend to change here. So either the Serbian doctor comes out here and puts Gilbert Urbina in a stretcher, or I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Gilbert Urbina victory. I myself am not throwing a lot of money this way for this fight, but the pick will be Uros Medic by knockout. But don't be surprised if we see a Gilbert Urbina upset. I don't think that the odds are correct here. Uros Medic is too large of a favorite, so there's no value in my eyes. Then we have Joslyn Edwards taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. The Panama Edwards is actually a little bit of a surging contender right now. You know, she's coming over that round 1 KO over Chelsea Chandler, where she just showed up and showed out. And also against Samiras Vidal, I think she had a great showing of herself. You know, she's only young, not even 30 yet, and she's coming into her own. I think that she's big for this division. She's one of the bigger women's fighters, let alone women's bantamweight. You know, she's one of the larger women's fighters inside the UFC. And I think that against Priscilla Cachoeira here, I think she's got to beat pillar to post. Other than just outright pure dog and looking a scrap, I take Joslyn Edwards in the striking. I take her in the clinch work. I take her in the grappling. So I think Joslyn Edwards is going to be the pick here all damn day. She's got a reach advantage here. She's got the youth advantage. I think she's going to go out here and tune up Priscilla Cachoeira. And I wouldn't even be surprised if she chins her. I know we've never seen Priscilla Cachoeira knocked out, but she has been submitted. You know, she has been dusted up before. And I think Joslyn Edwards could get on top and force a TKO stoppage by landing just unanswered ground and pound. So give me Joslyn Edwards to win this fight by knockout. Let's see what we got moving up the ladder here. We got Elijah Smith taking on Toshio Kazama. Toshio Kazama, Japanese prospect here, coming off of a underdog win over Charalompos Gregorio, where he got the submission as a big-time underdog. I actually got burned on that one. I will say that I was on Gregorio there. However, this does not mean that I'm overlooking or revenge betting on Elijah Smith here. I think that Elijah Smith is a very talented prospect. He has clean hands, great wrestling. He is honestly one of the brighter prospects coming in through the bantamweight division that I can think of right now. That's on the fringe side, you know, not a fully established prospect. Elijah Smith has wins most notably over Aaron Tao, in my opinion, and then secondarily over Vince Morales, where Vince Morales, you know, showed up, put on a veteran performance, but Elijah Smith found ways to work through all of the submissions and come away with a decision victory. This fight screams an Elijah Smith knockout. Toshio Kazama finished up in 3 of his 4 losses by way of knockout. Elijah Smith has the reach advantage, has knockout power. You know, clearly this is a UFC marketing ploy to get Toshio Kazama knocked out by Elijah Smith. But don't be surprised if you see a decision here. You know, I expect Elijah Smith to show up and put a beating on Kazama, but I wouldn't be that shocked to see him survive until the final bell here, especially if Elijah Smith entertains the grappling and just rides out top control for extended periods of this fight. But Elijah Smith by knockout or decision is where I'm running with this fight. Then we have Julius Walker taking on Raphael Squira. Juicebox Julius Walker. This guy's a former underdog opportunity of mine. I took him as an underdog against Atomic Alonzo Minifield. That didn't pan out, but ultimately I believe it was the optics of Julius Walker in the striking. What I mean by that was he was doing this thing where he leaned back, he looked real gassed, and you know, it just made it look awful, his striking defense and all the rest of it, doing that tall guy striking shit. In this matchup here against Raphael Squira, that would be a concern, except I think that he takes him down and mauls him. You guys haven't seen it yet, but if you go watch the tape of Julius Walker, you'll see he gets on top of people. He puts a beating on the man. You know, I did my tape on him for the Alonzo Minifield fight, and so I'm familiar with Julius Walker. On the Raphael Squira side, this guy, it should be Raphael the Circus Queer, because, I mean, this guy is just a weirdo that has been fighting in malls, shopping centers. He's fighting cab drivers. Raphael Squira is a fraudulent record if ever you've seen one. 11-2. This guy's basically a 2-2 fighter if you're counting the actual fighters that he's went up against. In this matchup here against Julius Walker, while, yes, you wouldn't want to see Walker's name anywhere near a -600 price tag, in this matchup here, I kind of almost get it. You know, when you start to look into the footage of Raphael Squira, he's big, he's athletic, he's a Brazilian, I get it. Like, he could knock him out. You know, he could catch him. He's a big athletic man. This could always happen. It's called a puncher's chance. Outside of that, though, I do see Julius Walker getting on top, either mauling him with ground and pound or, even better, a submission. So I'm going to take Julius Walker to win this fight inside the distance. I think he gets on top of Raphael Squira, and he either shells up and gets ground and pounded out or gives up his neck and gets rear naked choked. That is my prediction. Then we have Hernandez taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. Christian Leroy Duncan, the English prospect who hasn't exactly materialized the way that we all hoped he would. Hernandez, the aging veteran, always, a physical specimen coming forward, utilizing his physicality, fence pushing, going for takedowns, all the rest of it, coming off of a win over Chris Weidman. Thank you for doing your community service. Chris, I poke Weidman the fuck out the UFC. Hernandez dusted him, threw him to the curbside. Christian Leroy Duncan, on the other hand, guys, this dude is a big athletic prospect. I know it says 6'1 and 6'2 here. I imagine Christian Leroy Duncan looks a lot taller than Hernandez when they're facing off here. He is a very large frame. I expect him to have the better work inside the clinch. I could expect him to land elbows, knees, and when he's at range, this dude is creative as hell. If he threw up a spinning wheel kick, I wouldn't blink because he just throws weird and wild stuff. He has very dynamic striking, and I could imagine him landing a huge right hand on one of Hernandez's sloppy entries. So give me Christian Leroy Duncan to win this fight, most likely by knockout. Then we have Miles Johns taking on Jean Matsumoto. This is against Miles Johns. Initially, I looked at him for a potential underdog opportunity in this matchup here. However, after reviewing the footage, watching all of Miles Johns' fights back and Jean Matsumoto, once again, I do think Jean Matsumoto beat Rob Font. Anyone who want to argue with me about that one, we can go toe-to-toe in the comment section. Make no mistake about it. Miles Johns, he is a good fighter, but he's not an amazing fighter. Whereas I look at Jean Matsumoto, and I think this is one of the guys that could be the future of this division. This is a guy that has huge output. He's got grappling. He's got striking. He's durable. He's tenacious. He obviously has, got skin in the game. He's in this, for the long haul. He's not just here to win a couple of fights. This dude is 16-1. He's young. He's hungry. I think he can go out here, put on a statement victory against Miles Johns, and actually put him away. We've seen Miles Johns finished up by a flying knee, from Mario Bautista. We could see Jean Matsumoto clip him as well and get a ground and pound TKO stoppage after rocking him. And, the chin of Miles Johns has looked good up until this point. I think Jean Matsumoto puts numbers on him and finds that chin and sinks and dinks him. Give me Jean Matsumoto to win this fight by knockout as a flyer play and the great odds that come with it. Then we have Andre Fili taking on Christian C-Rod Rodriguez. And this is the third fight of Christian Rodriguez this year. He went out there, defeated my boy Austin Bashi in his UFC debut. RIP, the 5-unit slam of the week, starting with We Want Picks. That was a rough one. But we got that money back down the line. But C-Rod here, went out there against Austin Bashi, did his thing, won a decision. It was fair. It was a close fight, but Bashi ultimately didn't do enough. Then he goes out there, loses a decision to Melquiz Acosta, which I gladly was on the right side of that one there. But, Melquiz Acosta, common opponent here for Andre Fili, who round one, stuck his neck in there against Melquiz Acosta and found out that his grappling is high level. Melquiz Acosta won that fight by submission. Guys, in this matchup here, it ultimately comes down to this. In the tape study, you see Andre Fili doesn't like to be pressured. He does get chinned by these shorter guys that have compact punches. And this is exactly who Christian Rodriguez is. He's going to push him up against the fence. He's going to pressure him. He's going to use patient pressure. And historically, Christian Rodriguez is durable. He comes on strong late in fights. He's a younger prospect here. This should be C-Rod all day. And I think that the odds are actually quite appropriate for this matchup here. I could see him winning either by decision or knockout. Andre Fili, 35 years old. He's been in the UFC for 10 to 12 years. He's been in as long as Max Holloway, but he is older than him. I know he's an established veteran at this point, and people are assuming that he's going to be the better fighter in here. I actually think it's going to be Christian Rodriguez all day. So give me C-Rod to win this fight. I'm going to lean towards decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to find that chin as well. And we have Usman Lucindo taking on everybody's favorite underdog, it seems, this week, and Angela Hill. Angela Overkill Hill, 18-14 record is deceptive. She is better than her record would indicate. She's fought everybody. She is coming off of a decision victory over Katlyn Souza earlier this year, where once again she defied the odds, told people, "What's up? I'm here to stay, and watch out for me." Usman Lucindo, on the other hand, laid an egg against Amanda Lemos, showed that while she is still good, she isn't up to the level of the top 5 of the women's strawweight division, so she's been set back a peg here. Now she's taking on the 41-year-old Angela Hill. This matchup had me scratching my head for a little bit. I was going to side with Angela Hill, but ultimately I am going to go with Eisman Lucindo. I think the physicality is going to be there. I know against Amanda Lemos, people are going to think that this could be replicated here by Angela Hill, but I don't see her being as physically strong as Amanda Lemos. She does have the volume over it. She's got great cardio. She's got great decision equity, if you will, but I think Eisman Lucindo will feel more comfortable, walking into the fire with Angela Hill, more comfortable getting into those grappling exchanges. So I'm going to take Eisman Lucindo, medium confidence here. I think she wins this fight by decision, just by being, herself, because she wasn't exactly herself out there against Amanda Lemos. I think that's what let her down. Then we have Steve Ursk, a.k.a. Astro Boy, taking on Ode Osborne. Steve Ursk slipping, man. 0-3 in his last 3, He went from the highs of the lows, stepping in short notice, had a absolute valiant performance against the champion, Alejandro Pantoja, Then he goes out there, knocked out by Kai Kara-France. Decision loss to Brandon Moreno. And while in the Brandon Moreno and in the Pantoja fights, they were, not terrible performances, he's not been getting wins. And the knockout loss in between, now the losses are starting to, slow roll against him here. However, I do believe this is a very winnable matchup here. Ode Osborne, while coming off of a knockout victory, I think that he is a fighter that isn't going to be able to contend with Steve Ursk in the decision equity in this fight. I don't think that he puts out the type of numbers. I don't think he has the cardio of Steve Ursk, and he definitely doesn't have the grappling pedigree, which I would like to see Steve Ursk bring to the table here. We've seen Ode Osborne struggle to much lesser grapplers in the takedown department and being controlled. So I'd like to see Steve Ursk, put his pride aside. You're not fighting in Perth, Australia. You don't have to stand and bang here. You don't have to appease the crowd. You're in the Apex. Go out there, take Ode Osborne down, get your win money, keep your job. Then you can look towards high-profile fights after that. Everybody already knows he's good. He just has to prove that he can win. As for Ode Osborne, he's got to play spoiler here, Come out here, be creative, be dangerous, lure Steve Ursk into a firefight, try and land something big and see, maybe if you can chin him again like Kai Kara-France did. That being said, I don't think it happens. I'm going to take Steve Ursk by decision, and I really like the price tag on it. I think that it is more than affordable. Steve Ursk by decision is going to be my official play there. Go check those odds out right now. Then it's main event time, guys. We've already come around here very quick. We have Roman Dolidze taking on Anti-Fluffy Hernandez. This is the underdog opportunity, right? And I'll tell you why. If you watch every single Roman Dolidze fight, when he gets on top of people, it is bad news. This guy is a demon on top. He is a high-level grappler, and he's got dynamite in his hands. He's everything I want in an underdog, especially somebody that needs to upset somebody who is relentless with the pressure like Anthony Hernandez. You need the X factor, and I believe that Roman Dolidze does have that. That being said, do I think that this is an easy matchup for him? No, I even understand the line absolutely. Anthony Hernandez is on a phenomenal win streak here. But I do believe that Roman Dolidze, if he can reverse a single position, get up on top of him, he could beat the shit out of this guy. He could absolutely get on top and elbow, land cuts, land this damage, cause cuts on Hernandez here. He could get on top of him and just, do what he did to Jack Hermanson, tie up a leg, rip off a leg, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Roman Dolidze be able to land the guillotine on Anthony Hernandez because he is physically stronger than a lot of those people that you've seen, although he does do a good job of evading there. He's a slippery eel, the old Anthony Hernandez. So the way that I have attacked this, and I said this in my underdog videos, if you're not confident in Roman Dolidze and you don't want to just full swing it, you can go Roman Dolidze, win inside the distance, decision no action. I do believe that he is strong and durable and will not be submitted by Anthony Hernandez. So I think if he is on the losing side, it's on the scorecards, which would equal a refund, which is a lot better than a losing bet, guys. So Roman Dolidze is going to be my pick for this one. And as I say, if you're looking to, be a little bit more reserved with your approach, then take that win inside the distance, decision, no action. Guys, that's going to be the breakdown. And if you want to see where I've put my money, my hard-earned cash this week, sign up to WeWantPicks.com/BetSam. The link is in the description of this video. It's WeWantPicks.com/BetSam for all my bets and many other tools. Code BetSam for 10% off. Sign up today or regret it tomorrow. What are you waiting for?